Okay, so today in this video, I want to talk about how you can turn a good trade into a losing trade. I won't call it a bad trade because it was a good setup and my execution was poor. But make sure you do like the video and subscribe and all that good stuff. So we're going to look at Alibaba, right? So on last Thursday, it gave us this bar here, right? So then on Friday, it set up this inside day. That's when your candle is fully enclosed within the previous day's candle. The previous day's candle is called the mother bar, right? So now your signal to enter a trade is if the current candle, the live candle, which was on Monday, breaks below that inside bar, you short it and your price target is down to the lows of the mother bar. If it breaks to the upside, you buy call options and your target is the top of that mother bar. Monday comes and I'm being so stubborn. The price action wasn't there. We broke to the downside, but it clearly was not gonna go hit 100. Me being me, I'm not familiar with trading inside bars yet, but I'm being so stubborn. I'm like, man, this gonna break. So this is the lows of the inside bar, right? Remember the 25th. So we break it. We don't break it by much, but I'm like, man, first of all, it was a good scalp that I had. I was up 10%, but failed to exit the trade, right? Then we bounced. So I knew that there was a possibility that it would try to bounce. And I told myself, okay, if it tried to bounce, it's more than likely going to reject and flush. Because at the same time, I'm also playing, this is from Monday morning, right? So you can see yesterday, 10:50 in the Discord. I'm also playing a rejection off of that trend line that it had, right? So uh, that was that there, and I added there, right? So at this point, I'm down like 25%, but I did not get a full entry here. I probably had like a third of an entry, right? So now I get a full entry. I finished the day up like 5%, right? But in my mind, I'm like, man, this was breaking. It was an ugly close. It wasn't a pretty close. And I was like, man, it's gonna flush tomorrow, which is today. Today comes at this point. I should have exited the trade no matter what because it did not break and I ran out of time. I'm making a trade off of the daily time frame, so it has to happen within this day. Otherwise, that's the first sign that it's a bad trade. Well, it's a bad signal, right? So today comes, we open up, and I give it like I think between like 1 and 5 minutes before I exit the trade, and lo and behold, Alibaba just took off, and here it goes testing 110, 111. Now we all knew it was gonna reject there, but if I was gonna hold, so my mindset is pimp inside day down, take profit at 100. I know that we're probably gonna, if we do bounce, this area is why I want to add to my shorts, and I'm okay with holding. If I'm gonna do that, then I have to buy time. I had weekly expirations. You can't do that. You can't hold them overnight. You cannot do that. I also knew that if for some reason it did bounce, which at that point I thought was a low probability, that we were gonna test 110, 111, reject, and I was like, oh, yeah, it's just gonna flush. That's just bad. That's just bad, bad, bad. If you're gonna do that, you have to give yourself so much, way more time on your contracts instead of going with weekly expirations. So that's why I say it wasn't a bad trade. It just was poor execution on my part because I had everything planned out down to a T. I'm like, okay, if this don't work, I'm playing a rejection off of that trend line, right? So we got that. We got that rejection. It bounced and rejected, right? And I'm like, okay, if for some reason it do pop before it tests 100, if it tests 110, 111 before it tests 100, then I know that's going to reject. But even though I was right, I chose bad contracts. So therefore, I lost money on the trade. This is the 6FatDaddy9 Instagram. And I posted that there because this was today. And that's my dog, Kof, right there. Yeah, we definitely going to turn it tomorrow. I'm going to show y'all what I'm going to trade tomorrow too. But that's just how you just let a good trade go bad because Alibaba's probably gonna flush 100. I would be extremely surprised if it doesn't because I mean it's been on a crazy downtrend. You had a head and shoulders here. This was your neckline. You flushed after earnings, reject. I mean, it's more than likely going to flush unless something changes within the meantime. Because I mean, you look at this on a monthly, like come on. So all of that was in my head. I'm just like, man, I know this going to flush 100 eventually. But that was just poor execution on my part. DraftKings, you saw I took a loss on that and it checked. I don't know what the heck is up with this stock. It's up like 50% in the past few days. I was shorting this off of this channel that it was in. So it was just in an ascending channel. And I was shorting it every time I shorted it here, made crazy money. Right. Then it decides it wants to break. I took profit here and then I was still holding some. I took weekly contracts here, sold those, was still holding next week expiration. So I let that go red. And then here we go. Monday, I add to those weekly expirations. Well, I restart the weekly expirations and I add to the next week expiration. And this change just busts out the channel. I'm like, dang, that's crazy. Then I'm like, man, this is going to come down. It didn't. It bounced. For some reason, it hit 25. But that's just, I don't even know what to call that. I guess at that point, I mean, I was playing a channel. I mean, ain't nothing I can really do about that. But I will say I should have gave myself more time again. So that's what DraftKings was all about. And going into tomorrow, what I'm watching. So Square is testing this 50 EMA. I'll take my pivots off just so we can see stuff a little bit clearer. So the 50 EMA is this blue line. You can see it stopped. That also is last month's highs, the highs of February. See that yellow line that I got there, right? So if this breaks, this is an inside bar again. So you can see the highs of this was of Monday's candle was 131.95. The highs of today was 131.49. So it's already telling us it don't really want to break out. It's stuck. So we got this inside day. Now I wait for my signal and I say, okay, if we flush, today's lows was 124.36. So I'm going to say if it breaks 123.36, like I should have done with Alibaba, instead of playing a break below that 104, I should have said let it break 103, give myself that confirmation. My first price target is going to be the low of that mother bar, which would be 118.31. Might not get exactly there, but that in that range is where we're going to start to look to see for reversals. See on I'll say probably 15 to 30 minute time frame, we're going to see if it want to try to reverse. The next price target is here, the 109.3, right? And then I'll take all this stuff off and just leave my levels of support that I got. So you see I got my support levels there so I don't forget. If we break this, we got a gap fill all the way down here towards like 95, 96. So if this play out, this could be a banger trade, but you really just got to take it. Basically consider this 3 different trades. So the break, that's one trade. Break this, that's a separate trade. Break this, that's a separate trade. So just see how it go. Look for signs of reversals. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this was below 100 by the end of this week again. That's how volatile and crazy the market been. And I would say from all of this, just make sure that you remember you control how much money you make and lose. Once you hold something overnight, you are leaving yourself susceptible to whatever the market decides matters overnight now. So nothing really crazy happened overnight to make Baba really pop. It just popped. So I mean, you don't know why stuff does what it does. You just got to play price action. And once you hold something overnight and you're taking a trade from Monday's signal, that does not mean that trade is going to be good on Tuesday. So that's how you got to play it. That's what you got to understand. Make sure you use stop losses, size into positions accordingly. And I will say, I'll show you Exxon. And I mean, look, straight drilled Exxon Mobil, right? So Exxon Mobil, it was gapping up. All the oil stocks was, right? And I mean, I didn't touch it this first 15 minutes because I'm like, man, I got my, it's already basically close to my price targets, and I don't want to get in on this. So wait for a pullback. So this is how you be patient. You be patient. Say this pullback to, I turn on my indicators. The blue is my 9 EMA. The purple is my 21 EMA. So we get down to here, and I'm like, cool. We right here off the 9 EMA, and we testing Friday's lows. So I start to size in right here. And by literally right down here, I had a full entry. We take that pop. Now I'm on the 5-minute time frame, and I'm watching, and I'm saying, okay, we reversing, we good, we rising. First price, this is my first price target. So I'm like, okay, let me see what we do here. So now I'm like, I should get ready to set a trailing stop loss, or I should take profit. Today, for whatever reason, I just decided, let me see what this next candle does. Next candle close, I said, if we break below this candle, I'm out. We held it. Then the following candle, we popped, and I set my trailing stop loss literally right here. And I was up about 21% at the time. The trailing stop loss allowed me to get another 10%. So I sold for like 30-something% profit versus the 20-something% profit. So that's how you got to play. You got to dig into them smaller time frames and just be patient. Know what you want, know your price targets, and know your stop losses. And do not hold a trade longer than you need to be holding it, because I'm working off the 15-minute time frame here today. So that means I got 15 minutes, 30 minutes to make this trade happen. I cannot hold this trade all day. Look what start happening. I don't know what's about to happen next. And you can see it flipped on me. Had I held this, I'd have been sick. And I'd have been mad. And then, traders be like, oh man, the market, blah, blah. But it's like, no, you have to know your time frame. Just like with Alibaba. I was trading off of the daily time frame. So once that signal was invalidated by the end of the day yesterday, when it did not flush, I should have been out. So that's kind of how you play it, and you can make as much money as you want, and you can lose all your money too. And that's the thing, just be sensitive to risk tolerance and understand that any trade can go bad. You got to know what to look for, and we teach all that stuff. We walk you through any trade on our Discord. We got educational stuff. All of it is available at investorsanonymous.net. So definitely follow the Instagram. I probably make a couple posts up here tonight. Usually I'll just post a couple pictures, a couple videos, all that kind of stuff. You see, I've been watching ExxonMobil for a little while now. I had that bull flag. And I mean, honestly, this is another example. ExxonMobil, I was waiting for this break this bull flag and just go run to highs again. It broke the bull flag, and then it came right back inside. And it's just like, if you hold that and you just hoping that the pattern plays out, that's a bad trade, man. You can't do that. So that's just kind of how you got to do it. And I say, just from all this, understand that any trade can turn into a bad trade if you have poor execution. So like the video, subscribe, join the Discord, and I'll catch y'all for the next video.